Shannon Storms Beador, a self-described relationship girl, recently shared that she's content with her single status. During a discussion on Bravo's briefing, the mother of three spoke about her love life and addressed some unexpected appearances in The Real Housewives of Orange County Season 19. Friendships from a dating series. In Episode 3, July 24, Shannon was seen with Adam Rubin and Philip Westbrooks, both of whom she met on a dating series. Adam joined Shannon for bowling, while Philip accompanied her to Heather Dubrow's birthday celebration. These reunions sparked rumors of rekindled romance, but Shannon clarified that her connections with Adam and Philip are purely friendly. "Let's be clear, they are only friends," she told the hosts. "I did not choose Adam on the dating series, but we are good friends. He and Phil live in California, so I see them often." Shannon also confirmed she remains in touch with other participants from the series, including Mark O'Brien, Jay Bramble, and Ralph Mastrangelo. "I'm friends with all of them, and that's how it's going to remain," she stated. Reflecting on a past connection, Shannon filmed the dating series over a year after her split from John Jansen. The series chronicled her developing a promising connection with Earl, a vocational expert from Georgia. Although their story continued after filming, the distance ultimately led them to go their separate ways after several months. "When I watched back the series, it kind of affected me emotionally because I hadn't dated anyone for a year, and I made myself vulnerable," she shared. "It didn't work out, and it hurt." A new perspective on relationships. Shannon revealed she has since adopted a new outlook on dating, stating it's no longer a primary focus in her life. "Part of 2025 for me is not molding my life around a relationship, because I'm usually doing that. I'm just doing things I want to do," she explained. "Of course, I want to find a partner, but for now, I'm happy with where I am. So if I don't find that partner, I know my life is going to be good." She reiterated similar sentiments in a recent interview with Bravo, explaining how she would approach future romantic involvements differently. "I see, in a perfect relationship, maintaining some independence for myself," she said. "And that's something that I've learned over the relationships that didn't work. I still have to have a piece of me that's still me. I've learned that I can be single. I can be happy, and I can have a full life. I can honestly say I've never been happier in my life." The soft amber light of the setting sun spilled across the patio, illuminating the perfectly manicured hedges and the empty chair across from her. Shannon Beador, a woman who had spent most of her life with a partner in that seat, felt no ache of absence. Instead, she felt a profound, satisfying stillness. A glass of rosé, condensation beading on its sides, rested in her hand. She swirled the liquid, watching it catch the light, and smiled. This was her life now, and for the first time in a long time, it felt entirely her own. A buzz from her phone on the wicker table pulled her from her reverie. It was a text from Adam. A simple, friendly "Hey, just saw this place and thought of you. You'd love the avocado toast." A picture of a bustling, sun-drenched cafe in Laguna Beach was attached. She chuckled, tapping out a quick response. "Looks cute. We should check it out sometime. Cheers to being friends." The easy, uncomplicated nature of her relationship with Adam was a testament to her new perspective. It was a far cry from the whirlwind of a dating series that had brought them into each other's orbits. She remembered the cameras, the pressure, the manufactured drama. It had all felt so much bigger than it was. But when she'd seen Adam and Philip at Heather's party, and later when she and Adam had gone bowling, it had been just fun. There was no subtext, no will they, won't they. Just genuine conversation and a shared history that was more funny than romantic. She recalled the whispers at the party, the knowing glances from friends, the assumptions that had been made. People wanted a fairy tale ending, a neat bow on her dating story. But her story wasn't a television show, it was her life. And in her life, some people were meant to be chapters, some were meant to be paragraphs, and some were just footnotes. Adam and Philip were the latter, but in the best way possible, a comfortable footnote of friendship. She was happy for the friendly connections, proof that she could be open and vulnerable without it having to lead to something more. The thought of vulnerability, however, brought with it the ghost of another memory. A man named Earl, a kind voice on the other end of a long-distance phone call. The dating series had captured the initial spark, a connection that had felt so promising and real. She had let herself believe in it, had opened her heart after a year of keeping it carefully locked away. She'd allowed herself to be swept up in the possibility, the excitement of a new beginning. The months that followed were a blur of plane tickets, phone calls, and the slow, insidious erosion of their budding romance by the miles between them. The distance wasn't just physical, it was emotional. Time zones and conflicting schedules became the villains of their story. She would find herself rescheduling her entire day just to catch a call, sacrificing her own plans to make time for his. She had been so accustomed to molding her life around a partner that she hadn't even realized she was doing it again. The Shannon she was becoming, the one who was finding her footing in her own space, was slowly being chipped away by the demands of a relationship that existed primarily in text messages and FaceTime calls. She remembered the day she watched the episodes of the series where she and Earl had been so hopeful. The optimism on her face, the quiet promise in their eyes. It was a mirror reflecting a version of herself who desperately wanted a partner, even at the cost of her own identity. Seeing it all play out, she felt a pang of pain, a quiet ache that acknowledged the effort and the eventual disappointment. It didn't work out, and it hurt, she had admitted to a friend, and the honesty of the words had been a release. It was a lesson, not a failure, a painful but necessary part of her journey back to herself. That was when the change truly began. That hurt, that raw vulnerability, became the foundation for her new life philosophy. She had learned that her happiness couldn't be contingent on someone else. It had to be self-generated, self-sustained. The year 2025 became a personal revolution. She started saying yes to things she wanted to do for herself. She went to new workout classes, took up painting again, and spent quality time with her daughters without the distraction of a phone call to a partner. She looked around at her home now, at the art she'd hung on the walls, the garden she'd cultivated. Each element was a reflection of her choices, her tastes, her passions. Her life wasn't a half-empty vessel waiting to be filled by a partner. It was a vibrant, full cup, overflowing with her own joy. Shannon took a sip of her rosé. It was cool and crisp against her lips, a perfect end to a perfect day. A sense of calm washed over her, a deep and abiding peace. She had learned to be okay alone. More than okay, in fact. She was happy, her life was full, and she was the one who had filled it. If a partner were to enter her life now, she thought, it would be as an addition, a bonus. He would have to fit into the rich tapestry she had already woven, not demand she unravel it to make room. She wouldn't sacrifice her independence, her hobbies, or the beautiful, self-sufficient life she had built. The person she was now, the person who could say with utter sincerity, "I've never been happier," was the person she would bring to the table. And she knew, with a certainty that settled deep in her bones, that this version of her was the most worthy of love she had ever been. She finished her wine, placed the empty glass on the table, and walked inside, ready for whatever came next, but not needing it to be anything other than what it was. The cool air of the house was a welcome change from the warm evening breeze. She entered the kitchen, a space that once felt like a backdrop for family chaos, but now felt like a sanctuary. A small, vibrant canvas sat on an easel in the corner, her first attempt at painting a sunset from memory. The lines were imperfect, the colors a little too bold, but it was hers. She smiled, a genuine, private smile. She wasn't just existing in her home anymore. She was inhabiting it, creating in it. She decided to make a simple dinner. A quick glance at the pantry revealed the ingredients for a pesto pasta. She pulled out a fresh basil plant from the windowsill herb garden she'd started. The scent of the leaves was sharp and green, a living fragrance that filled the kitchen. As she chopped garlic, the rhythm of the knife on the cutting board was a meditative, soothing sound. There was no one to rush for, no one to impress. The meal was for her, and she found a quiet pleasure in every step. Just as the water began to boil, her phone buzzed again. This time it was a call from Mark. She answered with a cheerful "Hey." Her hands, coated in olive oil and pesto, fumbled with the phone, but she didn't mind.